partners that I'm working with are very, very excited about what we are going to put out in the next year, something called the Faith Leader. So they are in the room. There's Nicola as well as Miko in the room. They are my partners, and I'm really happy to see them here. At one point in my career, I was actually in the circus, in Cirque du Soleil, and I've worked with the people like Janet Jackson. For some of you who are a bit senior of age, you might be familiar with her, or Whitney Houston. But then I decided that working in a theater or in a concert hall kind of like ran its course, and I decided to try this thing called the corporate life. So I went back, got my first job at Oracle, and like, oh my God, I enjoyed it. I traveled a lot with the companies that I work for. And then I realized that as opposed to being very productive in the entertainment industry, hey, wait a minute, corporate life isn't that productive. So that's when I left and decided that, hey, let's try something else. Let's see how, with my experience, I can inspire people to do great things wherever they are, whichever organization. So let me give you a bit of reality here. So as you can see, again, headlines, viral headlines like this, 84% of companies fail at digital transformation. This is what McKinsey says, 73% of business transformation projects actually fail. And in Singapore, where I'm from, 1 in 4 firms lost almost $800,000 from failed digital projects. So I'm pretty sure you have such experiences as well from your, from your career, from even perhaps your own, startup. But this is truly the reality that's happening out there. I'm going to give you one statistic here. 96% of agile transformations fail to generate the capability to adapt to changing market conditions. What's going on here? Organizations are putting in millions of dollars, billions of dollars, in fact, into making work more awesome, into making the workplace more productive, more effective, more agile, and yet money is going down the drain. What's truly going on here? To do that, I'm going to tell you a story of how it can be done differently. And I can tell you, I have a witness in the room. Nicola was, was leading this whole project with me when we were working in Hong Kong for a Swiss pharmaceutical company, and this is their Hong Kong branch. So Nicola and I and 2 other colleagues were asked to get to Hong Kong and help them to, transform the organization. So what's the kicker here? What's truly different about this? As opposed to calling in consultants and saying, the consultants say, hey, Isman, you are a CEO, we are going to recommend that you're going to do this, do this, do this, do this, do this, do this, and you are going to transform in such a manner. But instead of doing that, what happened in Hong Kong was truly astounding. It is still one of the best projects that I've done. Instead of getting a consultant to do the job, they had the entire organization do to kind of like destroy whatever it is that they have currently and build that new organization from ground up. So Nicola and I, we led teams that are focused on products, on customers, on processes, as well as the internal culture. So the teams, we brought the teams, groups of them, to hotels for about 3 weeks to do design sprints, and we reimagined the entire organization. And part of that first draft that they actually put out, and Nicola can very sure say that I'm not lying. In that first draft, they decided to remove the leadership team. Like, hey, let's try going out without a leadership team. But what will happen? Well, they did not go so drastic, like it didn't happen that way. But what truly happened, and what I felt like makes a big difference, was the senior leaders of the organization, when they actually decided to transform, when they decided to actually move into this new organization structure, they had the senior leaders change their job roles. Instead of like the business leaders, they were now truly people leaders. So people who had titles such as senior director then suddenly, or VP, became agile coaches. They were leading the transformation, not me, not Nicola, but the people within that organization were actually leading this transformation. This is the idea here over culture building over co-creation and collaboration. I mean, some of you like, no, we have to do co-creation. Yes, truly important. But in this case, can we put more emphasis on culture building? We'll get a bit more into that later on when you get into the Miro space. So what would be the learning outcomes for the next 45 minutes? So the what and why, we've seen this before. We've done workshops with our clients. We've done a transformation project. We've done classroom learning. You get great feedback. And the next moment you came back and you saw it and said, hey, wait a minute. Like the old habits, the old culture simply just returned, or nobody did anything beyond the training classroom. So that is not truly a great use of our time as facilitators, as well as leaders in organization. So how are we going to do this is, let's look at the real focus in the room. Who is truly the real influence in a room? And doing so using culture building through what we call the facilitative leadership, and as well as you are going to discover some of these facilitation techniques that you can bring back to your organization, or if you're a professional facilitator, you can bring it to your next classroom, okay? So the how might we as learning or process facilitators reconsider and plan for sustainability in our work? Or how might we as a leader in an organization use facilitation techniques to create sustainability for our work? Okay? So any questions, just feel free to leave it in the chat in Butter, so that we can come back to that in a moment. What I'm going to do now is I am going to bring you into the Miro space, because I'm not going to be here alone. I can see that Miko is looking for a friend in the Miro space. I'm going to do a quick demo on Miro so that you will have a great experience. So Miro doesn't work well on small devices, so make sure that you are on a laptop or you have a second screen. It'll be much better. Typically, I would tell audiences, hey, you have to have a great browser like Chrome or Firefox, but there's a Butter magic that's coming up, so look out for it in a moment. The first time you're in Miro, it requires you to tell Miro what device are you using to navigate the space. So if you look up here on the top right of my screen, beside the share button, there is settings. You will not see the blue share button, but you will see settings. I'm going to click on it, and I'm going to click on navigation mode. There's something called the trackpad and the mouse. So make sure you're using the right device with a trackpad or a mouse, and click apply. And this will allow you to track properly in the Miro space. So as I mentioned, the Miro space is a boundaryless space. So you might get lost, but do not worry. But it is otherwise a big empty space. And I'm going to go on to the tools that we are going to use for this session. So on the left-hand side of my screen, you'll see a set of toolbar. This is a dynamic toolbar. I'm going to click on the ellipses over here, and you will see other tools out there. So what you're going to look for is the sticky note icon. And the sticky note icon is a square with an up-down corner. What you can do is you can pull it out from the toolbar and put it in the permanent left side toolbar on the left side of the screen. I'm going to click on the icon, and you will be presented with 12 colors. And pick not a great choice, the white sticky note. And I'm going to type here, hello, Butter. There you go. Okay. And what you can do is you can resize, you can make it big, you can make it small. You can also follow the Microsoft, commands such as Control-D to duplicate, or Control-C to copy, and Control-V to paste. But the most important command that you will need to know in the Miro space is to undo. Control-Z, 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 Control-Z. That would help you a lot, okay? And the first time you're in a Miro space, you might be presented with a hand icon, which means you're not in edit mode. What you want to do is you are going to press V for Venus on your keyboard, and you will be able to click on editable elements in Miro. Hello again. Okay. So for those who have not been in the Butter space before, or have used Butter previously, There's a way to the breakup room, which is going to happen in a while. So you will see once the breakout room has been created, there will be a main room button up on top. Click on it, and then you'll be able to choose the room that you desire to get into that Butter breakup room. Okay. So that is it. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And what's going to happen now, and this is always amazing to me, is that I'm going to turn on the mirror space in Butter itself. Yay! Can we have like that yay reaction, folks? This is so amazing. So we're going to get everyone into the mirror space. I'm just going to do this very quickly, a 30 seconds activity. I'm going to bring everyone to my screen in Miro. So what you're going to do is that you are going to try this tool for about 30 seconds and see, make sure that you are comfortable with Miro. And if you have any issues, let me know. If there is, let me know in the chat and we'll help you out. And for this 30 seconds, I'm going to put in a bit of music. Let's say 45 seconds. Let's try it out. And let's get comfortable with Miro. Let's go. What's with a zebra? That is right, Elske. You can use the Miro board directly in Butter itself. Looks like everyone is getting used to the space. Fantastic. I love that dog, the Shiba Inu. That's like my favorite dog ever. Thank you. Very quickly, there is an echo. Very quickly, I want to make sure that everyone who's here acknowledged. So we're going to do this very quick activity to understand who is in the room. If you are a professional facilitator or otherwise a leader in an organization, anyone who works in an organization is by default a leader. Put your name on it, your location, what do you do, as well as your favorite leadership attribute. If you want to pick up one of the emoji and put it over your name, we can, so that we can understand how you're feeling this week or today. Okay. Let me put in a different set of music and about 1 minute. And let's try this activity very quickly. Sure can, Nicola. Let me just put that in the Butter link. Sorry, the Butter chat. There's a funky looping sound in Miro, actually, which I'm not familiar with. Something's going on. Alska, welcome. And where are you from? Just make sure that I know that where you're from. Caroline, good to see you here. Welcome. Chaska in Hamburg. Martin in Bangkok. Welcome. Paula in Munich. Welcome. Welcome. Guten Tag. Tien, welcome. Jacob in Copenhagen. Carolina in Poland. Oh, I love Poland. Welcome, welcome, everybody. Elsker in the Netherlands. Welcome. Great. I hope I might have missed a couple of names. Ben, welcome. But otherwise, we'll get to know each other better, or if it's not here, after this session, okay? So I want to get a sense of the room right now. I'm going to bring everyone to my screen. Let's do this poll really quickly. The work that I do produces long-term, sustainable change and results. If you want to pick up one of the cats and put it over the circle that best reflect your emotions on this, your thoughts on this, feel free to do so. I'm going to give you about 15 seconds to answer this question. The work that I do produces long-term, sustainable, bet spelling, change and results. I love that that a lot of you are so positive on this. I'm gonna put myself in this sometimes space. So I'm glad that none of you thinks that your work is inconsequential or doesn't make sense. But at least most of us are either in sometimes or in the totally 100 space, and I think that's a truly positive outcome of this poll. I'm not sure if Martin is trying to leave a message for me. And if not 100%, we learn from that, and that makes it 100% anyway. Truly agree with that, Martin. Thank you so much. Thank you for the poll, and let's move on. So what is facilitation? I'm going to read a description, okay, from the Growth Consultants. Facilitation is the art of leading people through processes of agreed upon outcomes in a manner that encourages participation, ownership, and creativity from all involved. And to me, that important word here is the art of leading people. So anyone who in an organization who is organizing work for other people or professional facilitators in the room, you are all actually leaders. We are all leaders in our organization. And sometimes this is the mindset that I felt like my colleagues who are professional facilitators who are, hey, I'm here to do a design thinking workshop. I'm happy that my client is happy. And I think we need to move beyond that mindset. And I'll tell you why in a moment. So again, this is our idea here at Faith Leader is that the leader as a change maker, as well as a culture builder. The actions that we do or our intent when we are at work or as part of the organization to bring about change and improvements are the ones that are going to create lasting impressions, as well as lasting sustainable outcomes. And this is truly important for anyone who works in organization, but also important for facilitators out there. We want to make sure that the work that we do, regardless whether it is a design thinking workshop or agile ceremonies or a process facilitation workshop, whatever that is, we want to make sure that the work that we do for that 1 hour or 2 hour lasts for a long time. To bring science into this, if some of you might have heard of this Burke-Lewin organizational change framework. It says here that they believe that environmental factors to be the most important driver for change. But what is truly important as well are the leaders in the room, the leaders of the organization. Without that leadership support, without leaders anchoring the change, a lot of the changes that we want at individual level, at operational level, at the work output level can never happen well, or maybe not optimal at 100%. So this is what I'm saying. The leaders of the organization are actually the real influencers in the room who can make that sustainable change for or impact for a long time. While I understand that our job as facilitators are important as well, sometimes we are only impacting people at the individual level or the team level. It's great, but not always sustainable because, as facilitators, especially the professional ones, we might actually leave after our contract. So I always wonder whether the work that I did are actually useful for the team for the next 3 months, or whether they are going to continue with the good habits that I've left behind. So this is the idea here as the leaders as change maker. Okay, we're going to do this quick activity, okay? Change is the responsibility of leaders. There are some coins in the space. I would like you to answer this question with the coins and put it across in the space. Which is easier to get done? Managing change or actually creating change? Let's give this about 30 seconds. What do you think? Is managing change easier or to create change easier? For those who put a coin on change on managing change, I would love to hear your thoughts. If you want to come say out loud, or you want to put it in the chat, I would certainly love to hear your thoughts. If you have thoughts on this,
Isman, this is Mark. Can you hear me?
Hey, Mark. Yes, Mark. I can hear you, Mark.
Okay, so I said managing change is easier. If you take digital transformations, we've been doing a lot of them all over Asia and other countries. We've got a pretty good methodology, but it's really where it's harder to make sure that the change is actually set up properly to start with. If that's not done, however you manage it, it's not going to work.
The foundation must be strong, and that must be rooted, and that's where success stories will come from. Yeah,
that's just my opinion.
Yeah, no, thank you, Mark. By the way, Mark was with me and Nicola as well in Hong Kong. Sorry, Mark, I just realized you're in the room, Mark. So yes, we were in Hong Kong as well, working on that project. So thank you. One more poll here. Let's consider this, okay? Which is easier to control? Change that has been thrown at you or given to you as a project versus change that you actually create yourself. Let's do a very quick poll here again. In this case, we are using gold coins. Managing change or creating change. 10 seconds. If you have an opinion on this, feel free to, again, shout out loud in Butter. Oh, I'm going to read what else. Managing change implies that you should really know what the exact outcome should be. But can you know? It's an assumption, right? Creating change is a process in a direction. I like that. I think that kind of like answers the second question that I put on here is around how much control do we have towards that direction that we want that change to go? So again, we are splitting opinions here in the room. Thank you so much. Thank you elsewhere. Anyone has any thoughts here as well? Jacob has a comment. Feel free, Jacob.
Well, I'm a big create change kind of person, which is also, I guess, why we created Butter to begin with. I've actually tried to manage change all my life, both in consulting first and then in agency afterwards. I find managing change that someone else has instigated super difficult because there's already like a critical path that you then have to change. But just kind of taking it and molding it from the very beginning yourself is, I wouldn't say easier because it's also very, very hard, but at least you've got more control.
Agree. That level of control is so much different when, it is something that you instigated or something that you actually push along. Thank you for that, Jacob. And Caroline as well, it depends on the level of autonomy you are given at each level. I think that's a great point to move on to my next screen. So let me bring you to my next screen in Miro. So this is where, the idea that no matter where you are in the organization, as long as you believe that I can create change, I can facilitate new outcomes, I can make the workplace interesting, more productive, I can inspire people, I think that's a level of satisfaction, like I think Jacob must feel this, building Butter as well, the level of satisfaction that I actually created that change. I helped to move it along. So this is the idea behind faith leader or facilitative leadership, where I have the control, I am in control, and I'm going to build this environment, because ultimately I cannot tell people how to change and what to change into or how you want to turn out, because ultimately that's your life. But what I can do is create a workplace where people can be safe. I can be innovative. I can put in ideas into a meeting without feeling like that is something I shouldn't be saying, or the belief that everyone is part of the conversation. The belief that everyone is valued as part of the organization. So this is the idea here around being able to facilitate change, being able to be in control of change that is happening in the organization. And we hear about this a lot around co-creation and effective collaboration everywhere. And this is truly, truly important. And this is why I say leaders need to think about facilitating the job away, because the work that we do in this knowledge-based economies in 2021 is very, very complex. It's no longer the world of experts, what it used to be, but it requires close collaboration. It requires real teamwork to happen. And for that to happen, leaders need to step up and to take on the challenge of actually creating that change instead of being too dependent on consultants or external consultants or hired hands, because as we all know, or in my experience, I know that it's not as sustainable. So what are the forms of change in terms of facilitation that you can do? There are plenty. There are areas in developmental facilitation, performance facilitation, system facilitation. We're not going to go everything, but I've left behind the spaces that you can discover after this session. Please feel free to read. Please feel free to come back to the space. I will make sure that the board is shared with you after this session. But let's do something else that is more fun than reading, okay? We are going to role play some of the techniques that you can do as a facilitative leader, okay? Imagine that every one of you are working for either your own organization or working for an organization, okay? We are going to use sticky notes for this, and I'm going to answer the questions. Please use a sticky note and put it into the space. The first question is what I'm going to ask is, what is the purpose of our organization, your organization? What are all the reasons why our organizations exist? Again, if you are not working for an organization, if you want to role play this, feel free to do so. I'm going to put in 90 seconds into the Neuro clock. And please put in your thoughts. What is the purpose of your organization currently that you're working on? Or working on, or working in, actually. Or working for, in fact. I like that, healthy living. So remember, this is the purpose of the organization that you work for, or you are consulting for. Just read this. 55 seconds. You want to allow for complex collaboration across space in time for the world's first 1 billion knowledge workers. Fantastic. That's from you, Jacob. Fantastic. Thank you so much. Connect startups to new opportunities. I truly love that as well. Enabling everyone to use AI technologies. Thank you, Martin. Engaging people in making a change happen. This is from NPO. Allowing for complex collaboration to happen in sync. It sounds like we have a great group of organizations in the room right now, the organization that you're working for, and I think that's truly amazing. Things like healthy living, enabling teams, releasing people's creativity to create change together. That's amazing. 2 seconds. So now that we've got that out of the way, let's consider the next activity, okay? What are your personal and professional goals? What are your personal and professional goals? If you do not want to share because it's sensitive information, feel free to role play along, put something in there, just for us to learn a bit more, what's in your mind, okay? Feel free to put something, even though it's not real, but what are your personal and professional goals? 15 seconds left. Very interesting. Be an impactful leader. Improves people's well-being. Explore and test what I find most inspiring. My personal goal actually in life is just to make sure that when I die, my kids can survive. That's literally that's all to it to my life at the moment. But here's a question for every one of you in the room. Any one of you who has your personal goals very different from your the goals or purpose of your organization? If you are, you could raise your hand in Butter, or you could say yes in the chat. Is there somebody who's trying to say something?
What was the question again, Isman?
So the question is that are your personal or professional goals very different from the goals of the organization or from the purpose of your organization? Quite a few of you. Martin, I'm saying yes. So these are the kind of disconnect that we are seeing in organizations today between people and their organization, right? Yes, I love my job. My organization has a certain purpose, but it may not necessarily be my goal. I have something, I want to do something. I want to travel the world. I want to be a great trainer. So I'm going to do, a part-time job or, a side hustle to get there. But, these are the kind of conversations that sometimes leaders are not having. But with this knowledge, with bringing out this data, this information, a team or organization can actually become a much better, a much more, informed, a much more insightful workplace. Because, hey, I know that while my team is 100% behind the goal of the organization, the purpose of the organization, I will also respect that they have a life outside of the organization. And I want to know this, and I want to help them achieve both their professional and their life's purpose. I think that makes a better leadership conversation as opposed to, hey, you're here 9 to 5 every day. This is what we're going to achieve. And hopefully you go back happy at 6 p.m. One more activity here, very quickly. This is an activity called Team Learning Marketplace. Okay, so this is my question to you. If I am a trainer, I will be really good at mentoring and training my colleagues in these topics. It doesn't have to do with your job, but topics that you're really good at or skills that you're really good at. I'm going to put in about 45 seconds in the clock, maybe 30 seconds in the clock, and just put sticky notes in the space. What are you really good at that you're able to help your colleagues with, help your colleagues with a new skill, learn something new, or get better at work? 30 seconds. Let's see what turns up. Maybe let's put down a little bit more. Ooh, remember there's something called Control Z, Control Z, Control Z. Thank you. Creating and nurturing great conversations in teams. So again, we are still role-playing. So imagine that we are all part of a single organization. Okay? Jacob knows digital marketing, despite being the CEO of Butter. Somebody put that in the space, project management and dealing with ambiguity. I'm happy to share that I am a coffee fanatic. Oh, system thinking. Carolina knows system thinking. So these are the type of information that may not necessarily be widely known even within your team. Somebody is really good at climbing trees. So, how do you create a place and insights where team members can learn from each other? I'm going to go to Carolina because, hey, I encountered system thinking, but I'm not too sure what it is. Carolina, could you please mentor me on this? Tell me a bit more about system thinking. Perhaps it could be useful for my job later on. Or playing games. Somebody is really good, perhaps video games or games in the park. That is something that the team can also use to create fun, to create an environment where everybody's interacting and engaging with each other. And of course, feeding the zebra. So I need to get down to this zebra joke later on. So this is part of, let me just put this in. This is part of system facilitation. In a way, you are trying to understand your system at work. How do you pull this out? How do you bring this out of people, put it in a space where it is very visible? Miro or mural or Jamboard is amazing for this, where you can come back at any time and look out for information like this. Hey, Jacob is great at digital marketing. Jacob may not necessarily be a digital marketer at his work right now, but Jacob might give insights or experience from his last job. And that, I think, would create a truly special workplace. So thank you again for playing with us on that activity. One more thing here, this is not an activity, but also this is what we call the Team Diversity Hiring Guide. We talk a lot about diversity, we talk a lot about inclusion. Are we actually practicing it? As a leader, sometimes you end up making your own decision on who to hire. But imagine this, if your team comes together in a session that you facilitate, and you're saying, hey team, what do we need in this team to get ourselves better, in a better place? We have lots of new skills, lots of new insights, whatever it is, racial, religion, political views, age, whatever that is. Get the team to talk about it, or even unicorns. How information on unicorns. So again, there are many activities that we all can imagine to make that happen. So what we are going to do for the next 10 minutes, we've got 10 minutes. I would like you to get into breakup rooms, and we are going to do this activity. You will not be assigned, but feel free to get into a room and have that discussion based on the question that I've asked. As a professional facilitator, what can I do to help create positive and sustainable change in the organizations I work with? Or as a leader in organizations, everybody else, as a leader, what can I do to help create positive and sustainable change in organizations that I work for? Okay, you will find the Miro bot in the breakout room as well. What we're going to do is we are going to have this conversation for about 8 minutes, and you can put your answers in the Miro space. But before we do that, before we actually get into the breakout room, I'm going to give you about 1 minute. Okay, choose a space right now and start to write your answers. Okay, I'm going to give you 1 minute, choose a space, write your answers, and then we'll send you over into the breakout room. Okay, 1 minute, write your answers, and we'll open up the breakout rooms. Or change your name as well. Make sure that you have a name in your space. Feel free to change rooms if you don't see people in that room, if you're alone. Okay, I'm gonna say this. Oh, nope. No breakout room yet. no breakout room. Welcome back, everybody. I know I apologize that there's a bit of confusion getting you into your breakout rooms, but I've seen a lot of movement in the spaces in the breakout rooms on the Miro board as well. So I hope there's some learning and reflections. Due to time, you may not be able to go through everything, but board is open. Feel free to come back. I've shared the Miro board link in the chat, so feel free to come back and have a look on the reflections that have been provided into the space by everyone here today. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a bit of summary of the key learnings from this session. So the idea about facilitating your job away as a leaders of organization, we want to create positive and sustainable change. Hence, we need to lead on the culture building. We need to be the faces at the forefront of the change. We are the one responsible bringing the organization or our team in the right direction. And to do so, I personally believe, and my teammates in Faith Leader, the idea is that, why not learn some of these techniques, the techniques that have been brought out by the agile coaches, the scrum masters, the process facilitators, the design thinking experts. All these techniques can be easily learned and be brought back into the office. You don't need to hire me. You don't need to hire someone really expensive to run a design thinking workshop. You can do it yourself. So the idea here is that, you should be in control of your destiny. By doing so, by standing up in front of your team, that is a true mark of a visible leader. And finally, I know that this is a hard ask from me to other professional facilitators out there. As much as possible, I truly found that to keep things sustainable, I like to teach the leaders how to fish, rather than fishing for them. And I think that keeps the conversations between you and the leaders ongoing, not just over one workshop, but across a period of time. And in the same process, in the same breath, you are actually giving them skills that they can use, give them that bravery, give them that confidence to actually lead their own teams in a workshop, in an agile ceremonies, whatever it is that they require to create positive outcomes for their organization or team. Okay, so I'm going to stop here with a last slide here. So feel free to put in your feedback. Feel free to put in your thoughts. There is another butter session coming up. So I want to make sure that if you have to go, feel free to go. But I'm going to be here for about 5 to 10 minutes if you still want to continue this conversation. But otherwise, thank you so much for being here. We'll try as much as possible to return back whatever you created in a PDF back to you. But have a great day. Feel free to leave your feedback, and I truly appreciate your participation in the last 1 hour. And thank you so much, Team Butter. Yay! I want to use sounds.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks so much.
Thank you so much, Usman. And thank you to everyone for joining. Thank you. It was really good.
Thank you, Karina. Thank you, Elska. Thank you, Grace, Susanna. Suzanne, apologies, Suzanne.
Thank you, Isman.
Thank you, Martin.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Usman.
Thank you, Isman.
No, thank you, Martin. Sorry, Mark. And we should have coffee. We should have proper coffee.
Yes, I really look forward to that.
Yeah, that's Nicola. Nicola, were you saying something, Nicola?
Yeah, Mark's in quarantine now in Singapore.
I know, you guys are taking turn. And I can see...
Say again, Nicola. Very much.
Thank you. I can see Amir as well. Thank you so much, Amir, for being here. And
welcome.
Amir is my idol. So basically, when we built, Nicola and I and Nico built, Faith Leader, like we have this person in mind, but we've not truly met that person 100%. And then I met Amir, and oh my God, Amir is embodying this spirit. This, the things that he do is so Faith Leader. So FYI.
Thanks. I'm still learning. Yep.
Thank you, Nurul. Yes, Nurul introduced us as well. Thank you so much, Nurul.
Okay lah, I gotta go to Isman. Superb session as always.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. See you later.